All right. Welcome back to the More Than Outdoors podcast, the podcast where we talk about the people, places, and passions that drive Maine's outdoor recreation economy. I'm Austin French.
I'm Sam Andrews.
And joining us today on the podcast, we have a special guest. Dave Schiff is in the building, or under the pavilion, I guess you could say. Dave, real quick, just kind of give folks who don't know who you are, quick intro, who you are, and then we'll chat a little bit more about where we are today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It's exciting to spend a few minutes with you. So I'm Dave Schiff. I'm the owner and director of Camp Manitou for boys. We're a children's summer camp in Oakland. And this camp has been here for 79 summers. We have kids that come to us from around the country, internationally as well. There's about 375 boys that attend the camp each session that we're here. They could be as young as 7, as old as 15. And our staff also come to us from all across the country, internationally as well. I really have been trying to make a bigger effort to connect with the local community through UMF and hiring people not only to work as camp counselors, but we have a full range of different types of jobs that we offer. My primary role in my responsibilities is supervising and recruiting and retaining our staff. So it's really exciting to work with people that want to come and maybe it's their first job, maybe they want to work with kids as a career, or maybe they just want to get out and be outdoors for the summer.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And so you were a camper here before, right?
Yeah.
You've kind of like really grown up in this space.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's a great story. Myself and the guy that I own the camp with grew up here as kids. I first came here in 1985. I became a counselor and had a really tight group of friends, and went off to school and didn't really know what I wanted to do, and knew I liked working with kids, knew I liked working outdoors and sports, and just was sort of in the right place at the right time. The former owners, they didn't have any kids, and they saw the passion that myself and the other guys my age had for the camp, and they helped facilitate a transition that we were able to take the camp over. And so we ended up buying the camp in 1998. And so, we've been running it for a long time at this point.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
I'm so excited to learn about all the things you've done in that time too, because I've heard a little bit about it, but it seems like it's just grown significantly since it's been in your hands. So
Yeah, and I think we'd be mistaken to not mention the fact that we're filming on site. And for those of you who have not been here, let me tell you, I've toured this place with Dave a couple of times, and there are so many nooks and crannies that I find every time I show up where I'm like, I didn't see that the last time. It's a very impressive establishment that you guys have built here, and it's awesome. Like when you talk about having 300 plus campers and over 300 staff at any given moment, knowing the facility that you need to be able to execute all of that. It's really awesome to see that right in my backyard. I'm only 10 minutes from here. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah. We sometimes find people don't really know about us, even though we've been here for so long. And again, we attract so many different types of people, but, we quietly kind of do our thing, and it's seasonal. And it's something that we're really proud of, and, always want to connect more and bring people into the community.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
it seems like you also have quite a few other roles beyond owning or co-owning, right, and managing the camp. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, when you own a small business, you're kind of doing a lot of everything.
Yeah.
During the September to June, I wear a lot of different hats because we don't have many people on our staff, so there's just a few of us. During the summer, my job becomes a lot more macro, but I do do a lot of volunteer work with the Maine Summer Camps organization. It's a fantastic organization. It has over 100 member camps. Maine itself, I think we have 8,000 staff members here during the summer that are working at all of our different summer camps. So I'm on the board there. I'm also in charge of the staffing committee, and just trying to raise awareness for jobs in Maine and working in Maine, particularly at summer camps. And I got involved with that particular part of the organization because I'm also a volunteer with the American Camp Association. So I'm the co-chair of the Project Real Job, which is a committee that obviously promotes recruiting and retaining staff members to work at camps all across the country. And we're so fortunate being in Maine that our reputation as Maine camps and for the Maine Summer Camp organization is really high. That oftentimes a lot of camps around the country, they look and see what camps are doing here in Maine, and they want to emulate it. And so we go to conferences. We spend a lot of time talking about just ways to give not only the kids a better experience, but also the staff.
So you know a lot about workforce development, outdoor recreation industry, which is a lot of what we're talking about on this podcast, and about the strategic plan for the state of Maine and growing the Maine's outdoor recreation economy. And a big part of that, and a lot of work that Austin does, is kind of creating that workforce development and showing people that there are careers in the outdoors. And so it seems like in every area that you're working in, you're touching on that.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Well, and I got to give Dave a lot of kudos. Like when we were starting all the stuff at UMF with the Outdoor Rec Hub and everything, like he was one of the first partners that jumped in immediately and was like, just tell me what you need. Like we'll figure it out as we go. And I know we have some ideas, and I think there's a lot that you guys could bring to the table from the university perspective. So like kudos to him to just not blindly jumping in, because we of course had a fantastic plan of how we were going to execute it all, but he's been in it from the beginning. So
and
kudos.
So you have UMF students working here.
We do
this summer.
We do, yeah. So one of Austin's students who isn't in the Orba program, but found us, and he's been fantastic. But then we also, one of our secretaries, she just graduated. Her and her sister went through UMF, and they live locally, and I think that's one of the things that I find I really need to promote is people think about working at summer camp, and sometimes some people are like instinctively like, oh, I don't really want to work with kids, or I'm a teacher, do I have to work with kids over the summer? And the answer is we have so many different ways to give people an opportunity to build their skills and grow and be outdoors. The girl that's the secretary just got her first teaching job a couple days ago. So she's going to be working locally, and hopefully she's going to be somebody that decides, like her sister, hey, I'm in the classroom all year. I love kids. I can be near kids at camp, but I have totally different responsibilities. And people in our dining program, right? We feed 21 meals a week. All these people are eating here constantly. We need people to help. And so, culinary students or people that maybe, are looking for seasonal work because they want to go travel somewhere else. I mean, Maine has so much to offer in terms of, the tourism that's here during the summer. So I, instinctively, it's good for us, to support it and help grow it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, I know another one that's come up in like the conversations that you and I have had is like you have professional health staff that are on all the time, and so we've had conversations about like, you have a person who's in a pre-professional health program, let's say at a university. Yeah, they'll have that like placement that they eventually go out and they're in a hospital or whatever setting that they want to be in, but like you can come and be part of a summer camp operation where you have all of those professionals are here. And being able to get that like extremely high like hands-on training in a summer camp environment where it's like, get ready to see all of it. Because when you have 300 kids, like they come in with everything,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I never went to a summer camp as a kid. We were talking a little bit about just growing up going to like a rec camp, but it was more of like a daycare, just growing up and going to the pool and playing with kids outside all day, which was a great experience in its own. But I've just heard about this like culture of summer camp in Maine, and there's just this like essence to it that seems like it just seems pretty beautiful. And so I'm curious if you can share about like the magic of summer camp and like the power of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the reason why I enjoy working for the Maine Summer Camps organization and the ACA is because there's a camp for everybody, right? My camp is going to attract certain types of people, and other people are going to lean away from us. But that doesn't mean that they can't find a program that they're going to really love and be successful in. And so, I think that no matter where you're from, no matter what you do, the people that go into camping, they like working with people, right? They like the interaction. They like being outdoors. And it's been something that I also go and see other camps, part of my ACA volunteering, and you see the magic that happens. A lot of it just has to do with people bringing in the right people and making connections. And we have all kinds of different facilities, right? And that's great. But it's got to be more than just that. Like the people are the essence, the role modeling, the idea that going back to what Austin was saying about, like, in our health center, we have people from several different generations. And we like to hire, either people that are recent grads that are nurses, or people that are like our aides in the health center, because they're going to get that opportunity to really grow skills that is outside of the typical clinical situation. And it's not devaluing it; it's hopefully giving them more skills.
Yeah, and just the exposure, because, like, obviously I know, like, I deal with it a lot in the university side of. I'm working with interns from all different academic programs, not just our outdoor rec ones. And so, like, when someone is going into a hospital, or they're going into, like, a clinical psychology, like, facility, like, it is very clear you do not have the certifications that you are required to have to do anything that involves working with a patient and doing any kind of diagnostics or treatment or anything. And so, like, obviously extremely valuable to just be able to go and shadow a doctor and learn from them on a day-to-day basis and see how they work with different patients in different situations. But, like, there's not always a ton of the treatment side that you can necessarily do. A lot of it is more like skills lab based, and you're trying to just do a lot of practical scenarios, but you're not necessarily working with people as much. And so being able to see that, where, you guys are going to have somebody come in and, like, they're going to, scrape a knee on the concrete, or, like, whatever. And not that that's, it's not a life or death medical situation, but that's still patient care, like, bedside manner and like all those kinds of things that we all hope are in our future doctors, and you can get exposed to things like that. So I think that's one of the most unique parts I see, like, from an outsider looking in on the Maine summer camp industry. Like, there are so many things that are going to tie to whatever your future career path is. You know what I mean? And I know, like, you talked about it when we were on Maine Calling together, that, like, the amount of leaders that are out there who their first job was at a summer camp, and no, they're not owning and operating a summer camp like you are, but they're taking all of those things and bringing them into their day-to-day life when they're making decisions as a leader, So, like, I would be remiss if we went through this entire podcast and I didn't say that out loud, because I think it's true. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 99% of the people I hire are not going into, camping as their profession, right? And most of them aren't even going to end up working with youth. But in this moment here, there are opportunities for them to gain skills that they can take elsewhere. And because we and the other Maine camps and camps across the country have been doing it for a while, we know the feedback we get over and over again is that summer, or those summers I was there, they really helped shape what I wanted to go and do. And the other thing too is that because we work with young people, there's always new opportunity. Most of our people are here only for a handful of summers. So if you, like, fall in love with this place, it's very easy to gain more and more responsibility in a short amount of time and really test yourself and grow those leadership and problem solving skills.
Yeah, totally.
My mind also goes to, like, your campers that get to come here and experience Maine summer. And will you talk a little bit about, like, all of the exposure to outdoor recreation that they get here, and maybe, like, the culture and heritage of Maine that you bring in and kind of foster at the camp? Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit before, that my mind goes to being tech free, right? That we make a commitment to the families that your son is going to stay away from technology primarily for the summer, and they're going to have face-to-face, real-time, interactions with a lot of different people. And I think most camps are doing that as well. From a health standpoint,
Yeah,
right? Like we want to
absolutely.
give the kids that opportunity. And then of course, Maine, we're only an hour from the beach. We're only steps from the wilderness. We're got a beautiful lake that we're on. The options are endless. And for our camp, a lot of the kids are coming from maybe not the city, but they're coming from communities where they just don't have access to everything that's here. And so they really do appreciate it in a way that's very profound. And again, like they look forward to seeing their friends. They look forward to playing the sports. But they probably do recognize, like, I don't get to be outside day after day after day in my regular life the way I do when I'm at camp.
Well, and like I wish you would have been able to see it this morning, because it was so funny as we're setting up the shoot with Dave for the UMF stuff. They had to be 70 kids are all like lined up at the waterfront getting the speech of like, you make sure you come back when you hear this whistle, and like do this, don't do this, all this stuff. And you could just feel like there was so much like anxiousness of like, just get me in the water, like I want to go play.
I just want to swim, I want to play. Yeah, that's great.
And to your point, like, because I can certainly say it, like as someone who came from more of a suburban area in New Jersey, like there wasn't a ton of options to just like, oh hey, no problem, let me just run down the road and jump in a lake and have access to all the things that you guys have here. So being able to get people out into the outdoors, that way these are things that we can use as natural stress relief for the rest of your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, there's so much value that gets added there. And if you can get it in to their routine when they're really young, right? Hopefully we then see them as lifelong, customers and
outdoor
enthusiasts. Yeah. So yeah, the one other piece that to kind of look at it from more of a macro side, because obviously you do a lot of work with the board, with Maine summer camps and things of that nature, and like Sam was mentioning, we have this 10-year outdoor rec economy roadmap that just got launched and everything. So, what's your vision in terms of, how Maine summer camps is playing a role in, the one piece is definitely around growth, but then there's a lot of like workforce development side. So like, just kind of, I'm sure you guys are having a lot of similar conversations just within the Maine Summer Camps Association, so would love to kind of get some of your perspective on that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like I think sometimes people just, don't really know enough about what we do and what the opportunities really exist. And that's why, the ACA has Project Real Job, right? That we're sort of saying, hey, look, like this is a place where you can really grow your skills in a way that maybe people don't necessarily appreciate. And so hopefully over the next 10 years, we're collaborating a bit more. We're working more with the other outdoor brands to give people experiences that they can take with them to other seasons, right? Maine is a tourism hotspot for all seasons. And so somebody that's going to be successful at a ski resort is probably going to be successful here. I introduced Austin to our waterfront director. He's a ski instructor, in British Columbia, and he came here first. I think he always knew skiing was maybe in his future. He's a guy from the UK and somehow fell in love with it. But certainly, like at some point over the last few years, he's had this revelation. I can make a career of this. This can be my life. I like this lifestyle, and I talk to him about it all the time. That he's also a Red Cross lifeguard instructor, right? So as he grows, there's all these little things that can get tied in that will tie in, to the experience he has is teaching people to ski, and the experience he has here, and he's becomes his own brand, and it's pretty amazing.
Well, and it's it's funny that you talked about the all of this. Was it Project
Real Job?
Real Job? Project Real
Job.
It's
funny that it's called that.
I know.
Because a little bit of me, like I've worked in the outdoor industry for so long, and I'm like, it is a real job. And like that's a part of this podcast is like explaining to people that you can work in the outdoors and it can be a real job. And so, and a lot of people leave the outdoor industry and they're like, we're going to to go get a real job. So
yeah, we're real all the time, right?
Yeah.
This is a real business. We've got real problems to solve. We got real people, but a lot of times, like, because we're hiring young people, they'll get advice from somebody that says, "Oh, go get a real job." And for us, it's like, no, we can give you a great experience. We've got this.
Totally. Well, and the, like, I don't call them soft skills. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves that's ever existed, because I truthfully believe that what we would categorize as soft skills are some of the hardest things that you try to build in a human being, right? But like, those things are happening all the time at camp, because let's face it, especially for an overnight camp like yourselves, when you have staff here, they have kids around them 24/7, right? Which, like, maybe I shouldn't say that on the podcast, because maybe some people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm surrounded." But to put it in a way more positive light, like, the amount of conflict resolution. When after you and I finished up this morning, I was sitting at one of the tables over by the commissary, and I watched one of your unit leaders, I think they're called, Tiana, who had this 7 or 8 year old kid come up and was like super, super homesick. Literally just got here yesterday, right? The new session just showed up, and I'm just sitting in the background as a guy who, like, isn't actually here, and I'm just like a shadow. And I got to listen to her, like, work through that conversation with him, and be able to get him to go from, like, showing up and, like, full tears to, hey, well, like, I guarantee you by the time you come talk to me about this next week, we're not even going to be having the same discussion, and you're going to be having an incredible time. But it took a lot of maneuvering to, like, get to that point. And that's an art, right? Like, those types of conversational skills are not science, right? And so much of it comes from, like, I'm sure she would say it, like, that's just volume of, like, having different versions of that conversation and understanding, like, okay, what are some things that have worked for me in the past versus how maybe do I have to pivot that a little bit. So, obviously that's just one story that I experienced, but, like, I'm sure you see that every single day at every layer of your organization.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're practicing, again, they're practicing probably for something else, but that's what's so great is that we can give them an orientation. We can have them watch training videos, and there's all kinds of different things that we can do, but the kids are really the key element of that they're giving them the situations, and they're role playing it out in real time. And it's really safe though too, right? That Tiana has a team that she's a part of, that she's the head of a team, but then she has other people that she can lean on, and they can talk about, okay, what are the different ways that we can approach this child? And we always say to the staff, like, there's never a problem that's on your shoulders. We do this as a team. And that's great, because there are times when you go out into other industries where maybe you do feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. People working in these environments, they should always feel like it's very collaborative, like we're here to support you, and we know that you're gonna build this into something that you're gonna be really proud of. And that's a great moment for her, and there are moments like that happening all around camp all the time. And it could be somebody that maybe walks in to a dinner and doesn't know what to find to eat, and some staff member sees that and helps problem solve. And then advocate. There's self-advocacy skills too that you take it a little bit further. And maybe that staff member has to go and talk to our chef. Somebody that's been doing this for a long time and really is proud of their work. And you have to have that confidence to be able to say, hey, look, like, the food looks great. I tried it myself, but for this little guy over here, he doesn't know what to eat. How can we help that person get a meal? And it's the little things, but they make a big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of, like, misconceptions about the outdoor recreation industry and, like, summer camps in general. You kind of touched on some of them. Are there any others that you feel like worth sharing?
Oh, this is like More Than Outdoors Mythbusters edition.
Well, I mean, in my personal life, people people always say, well, what do you do the rest of the year?
Yeah.
That's the first question I get almost any time I meet somebody. Oh,
What
great.
do you do the
What
rest
do
of the
you
year?
do the rest of the year? And the thing is that for me, I'm working on camp all the time, all year long. In the fall, and again, I own the camp with somebody else, so his job is slightly different than mine. But for me, the moment that we're ending, we're already on to the next year. We're reviewing, who are our stars this year? How do we take our stars, retain them, give them more responsibility? Where are we certain that, somebody said to me, hey, next summer I'm going to study in wherever, I can't be back. Oh, wow, that person had this big job. How are we going to find somebody new? Hopefully it's somebody that we have that we can bring along. But yeah, we'll spend a lot of time reviewing and listening to the parents, listening to the kids, and then recruiting new people into the program, both campers and staff. But yeah, there's a lot of misconception about what we do, and then also we have, I think a lot of people don't realize that in Maine in particular, there's a lot of great camps up here.
Yeah.
And you would think that it's like the NFL, that we're Camp Manitou and Camp Caribou is over there, and we're the Yankees and they're the Red Sox, or we're the Lakers and they're the Celtics. It is not that way at all. Like we are friendly, and we want to see each other succeed.
Yeah.
If they're successful and we're successful, that means we're all doing really well.
Yep.
And so we share a lot of ideas, we share a lot of resources. Again, with the staffing, the best thing for me is to come onto a campus with other programs, right? Because again, not everybody's going to want to work maybe for me or my camp, but if people are working at other camps and finding success, it's good for everybody. So I think that's something that's a bit of a misperception, because not every industry is like that. And again, I think sometimes the seasonal industries have a little bit more of, hey, we're all in this together. And then I guess the other thing too is that we've touched on a little bit, but like I think camps are probably ahead of the game in terms of like youth development. Sometimes in comparison with education, because we are able to be a little bit more nimble. Not every camp is private. Not every camp is tied to, say, like a local local organization. But we really can look around and make changes to our programs, to the way that we hire, to a lot of things that maybe just in just general education maybe take a little bit longer. So I think we pride ourselves on being nimble. Maine was one of the few regions of the country that was able to operate summer camps during COVID. And that was because we had, really an outdoor industry that said, we can't lose this summer. Like Maine needs people to come visit this summer. How can we safely bring people up here for, the hotels, for the summer camps, for all of the outdoors, and a lot of other places just were not as invested and said, hey, like, all right, we'll see what happens in Maine, and we'll come back the next year.
Yeah, I didn't know about that, but that makes so much sense. And
Yeah.
I think just going back to what you're talking about, collaboration, like that's something that we've talked a lot about on this podcast, because I think what makes Maine's outdoor recreation industry so unique is that there's so much cross collaboration, and that's something that's being highly promoted through Maine Outdoor Brands and through the Outdoor Recreation Economy Roadmap. And so I love to hear that that's the same thing in your industry, in the summer camp industry, and kind of within outdoor recreation as a whole. So, because it's like, why try to like replicate the same thing when we can just share resources and work together, and so we can continue to grow the industry in the best way.
Yeah. Well, and I know like Dave and I were talking earlier, and he mentioned this, like, obviously with him being someone who jumped into the Hub of Excellence project really early, he sits on our advisory board up at UMF, and he even talked about just the connections that, he's making here as part of that group. Like all of a sudden you're like, it changes where we're bringing our kids. You know what I mean? So like, all of a sudden you can start to unlock additional avenues that like changes the experience that now you're able to offer to 300 plus campers that are now going to go back and not just talk about their experience at Camp Manitou, but they're going to talk about how, oh, we went to Sunday River for this one excursion, or, wherever we went. Like that has ripple effects where all of a sudden, like, maybe that person is deciding to, like, come back for a ski trip in the winter, or whatever the case happens to be.
Absolutely.
Bringing their family.
Yeah, and our staff members too, right?
Yeah.
They're out there, they're enjoying it too, and thinking, oh, maybe that's a place I want to work. And, it's going to happen for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Love the ripple effect.
Yeah.
The ripple effect, maybe.
It's so great that we have like sounds of campers chatting and filling their water and walking behind the golf carts driving around. But we have our rapid fire session where we have like quick questions for you.
Great.
And we call it Voices from the Summit, but Voices from the Picnic Table works really well too.
I think we're at almost the highest point in the campground right now.
Yeah,
So we are at the summit of Camp Manitou. Okay?
There we go.
So my first question for you is campfire chat or sunrise hike?
Oh, I'm a morning person, so I'm going to say do the sunrise hike.
Do you get sunrise here?
Oh, yeah.
You do? Well, like a view of it is what I mean. Everyone gets sunrise.
Well, okay. You know what? So I guess, wait, we have a beautiful sunset on our lake. It's tremendous. The sunrise, I guess I should say, it just gets bright really early in the morning here.
Yep.
But
I bet the sunsets are epic because we are on the east side.
They're fantastic. Yeah.
You're like, I looked at my map. I know where I'm at.
where I am.
All right. What's one skill that every camp counselor should master, like, on day one? If you had a choice where you had everybody come in and it was just like they had it, what is it?
I think that the collaboration, right? Like that this is a place where you're not on Team Dave. You're on team whatever the cabin group, whatever the activity group. You have a lot of different places that you're going to be working. Mm-hmm. We wear a lot of different hats, and like right away you should feel comfortable that I can ask any question, I can ask for help, I can collaborate. That's a skill that then you can take, into a college classroom. And again, I worked with Austin, this past year, and the kids that I was working with, they were collaborating to help to solve a problem that we had. I brought him 2 different semesters, and we offered a problem, and his students were collaborating to problem solve, and that's definitely something that happens here all the time.
Yeah, that's great. Collaboration amongst the camps, but also within the camp. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So describe the future of Maine's outdoor economy in just one word.
One word to describe Maine's outdoor recreation economy is unlimited.
Unlimited.
Ooh, I like that. I would agree. I would agree with that for sure. All right, so we've talked a lot about, summer camp and everything, but once it's the off season, right? What's your favorite, like, guilty pleasure? Like when you're not in full summer camp Dave mode, what's that guilty pleasure?
I love to plan family vacations. It drives my wife nuts because I'm like, okay, so next March, and she's like, okay, March 26th. I'm like, no, March 27th, because March 26th we've already got this plan. So that is something that just drives her just off the wall. Like, really, you really need to plan that far in advance? I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about this. I want to go there.
I relate to that. I do the same thing, and especially in Maine, I'm just like, okay, what are the cool outdoor things I can do in Maine? I'm gonna plan it out. Like, I already know I'm gonna go to Greenville in the winter and go skiing this winter, and I'm like, can I get an Airbnb right now and plan it?
As the audience now quickly sees who is the planner behind the operation of More Than Outdoors.
Hey, you're just as much in it too. All right, the last question we have: what's one tradition from camp life that you think the corporate world desperately needs?
Well, okay, I just need to say I haven't really ever worked in the corporate world, right?
What you can imagine the corporate world to be.
I think don't take yourself so seriously. Like, again, we're here, we have all these kids that we have to take care of, right? These are their parents' pride and joy. But we also recognize like we can run a business where people are healthy, have fun, we're safe, and maybe we don't take ourselves so seriously all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, we're goofballs over here.
Yeah. Well, and I got to imagine if I took myself really seriously for 7 weeks as a camp counselor, plus training before that and all that stuff, I think you'd probably go crazy. You'd probably go a little crazy.
You'd need a nap after.
Oh, 100%. I would certainly need a nap.
A big nap.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this with us.
This is so much fun.
Yeah. And we'll make sure that all of the social handles get included, because I don't know if you've seen, but I will say, huge kudos to the Camp Manitou team. The Instagram stories are outrageous, the amount that goes out. So
yeah, the summer camp social media, it's like there's no phones here, but we'll tell everyone how much fun we're having.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that all those handles get included in the show notes. If you have not already and you want to see more episodes like us having great guests just like Dave, make sure you follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram, all More Than Outdoors podcast. Until next time, we'll see you outside.